WIKB, Iron River, Iron Mountain, Waters Meet. Now, here's Dr. Larry.
Did you know? Let's go.
You've waited all week.
Every week, we continue to learn how to achieve a better back and ultimately better health.
Live in the WIKB studios, this is Dr. Larry.
Well, thank you for hitting the flex capacitor read. Hello again, everybody. Okay, let's get it started. Well, as you know, every show builds on the next. Every week, we continue to learn how to achieve a better back and ultimately better health. Now, in case any of you missed it, last week we talked about CBD. It was an important week to be tuned in because we learned and defined about CBD versus THC for relieving inflammation and pain, because let's face it, there's more information to gain. So here it is again, CBD. It's become quite the topic lately. Gummies, topicals, tinctures, and more. How much do you know about CBD before or after buying it at a store? THC. Well, that's become quite the topic lately. Gummies, topicals, tinctures, and more. How much do you know about THC before or after buying it at a store? There's a difference, you might say, or you have no idea either way. Which will be part of the review again today, CBD versus THC. Let's drill it down. Let's bring in some level heads and some sanity with this final clip from the CEO of a CBD company, Sterling Professional. Joe, let's kind of wrap up the whole segment and describe 4 things, spend maybe about a minute on each one, that separate Sterling Professional from the rest. And you kind of hit on some of those as we've gone through the interview, but let's just pull them in bullet points and you just go through each one of those 4 solid points that separate Sterling Professional.
Yeah. So because I sell to doctors and not to the gas station up the street, I need to be held to a lot higher level of trust. The way I build trust working through the medical field is 4 key areas. Number 1, solventless extraction. Solventless extraction is a game changer. To get the CBD off of the plant, we don't use ethanol, we don't use CO2 like others. We use solventless extraction. We put the biomass in ice water that freezes the trichomes, and then we pass them through and naturally or holistically take off the CBD without hurting the organic material. So huge game changer. We can talk about the details on that and different kinds of extractions in a future show, because it's radical how different the extraction is and what the quality of product that you have. Because we have solventless extraction and going through this process, our product is actually nanotechnology, so very, very small particle size. So we have 40 nanometer CBD, super absorbable, super bioavailable, and the smaller particle size allows for easier absorption into the affected area. Another important critical component is a rigorous third-party testing. So again, selling to doctors, I need to make sure that my product has what it says it has, and it doesn't have any bad stuff in it. So not only do we test for CBD and or THC content, but we also test for mycotoxins, heavy metals, pesticides, and fungi to ensure that the product that we're providing to doctors and their patients is super, super pure. Again, every single product has independent third-party testing on a QR code on the product, so you know exactly what is in there. And finally, we are made in a GMP certified facility. GMP stands for Good Manufacturing Process. It is a designation given by the FDA saying that we are in a food-grade facility. So not to bore everybody, but there are a lot of components that are needed to ensure that we maintain our GMP certified facility, everything from dress codes to lighting to sanitation. GMP is an important component of who we are and what we represent. So those are the four things: supplements extraction, nanotechnology, third-party testing, and GMP certified facility.
Joe, fantastic job bringing some relevance, some sanity to the wild, wild west of CBD, cannabis, background history. Really just kind of, as I'm sitting back, this is the best part. I would love doing interviews because it's an educational piece for me as well. And I know, folks, it's been for you. If listeners want to try your product and or find out more, how should they contact Sterling Professional? What is the best method out there as far as investigating further, trying some of the product? How should listeners get a hold of you?
So best way to do it is hit our website, Sterling Professional, STIRLING professional.com / Dr. Larry. And if they hit that website, they're going to go in and we'll allow them to be a part of our patient portal. So you sign up under Dr. Larry. Once you do that, you're going to have access to their product, our portfolio, which is sold. Because you're listening to Dr. Larry, you care about your health, you care about making sure that you are doing and keeping yourself healthy. So we're opening up a patient portal specifically to tie into Dr. Larry and all the amazing things that you do to help improve the health of Americans.
Appreciate that, Joe. And also just to accent that, Sterling Professional gave me a link to, so I've also created a link on my website. I know a lot of you check my website out, drlarryradio.com. You'll see a for CBD link there, and it goes right to Sterling Professional. So basically the same thing Joe just said. There's two methods for you to get to. Joe, like you said, too, I think we've got a couple other shows out of the discussion. And once again, thanks for educating the public.
And that's where my passion lays, and that's why I left corporate America years ago. We have been training thousands of doctors across the nation on cannabinoids. We've been training thousands of people on what is the difference between THC, CBD, hemp, marijuana, and really dive down into the science of it. So I'll be sending you additional links, Dr. Larry, that you can send out on great PBS video on the endocannabinoid system, great research there's a great article from Yale that came out 3 months ago on cannabinoids. So science and research, we can help provide some tools to help you dive into this crazy world out there and break through the hype, which is CBD, and get down to the root science on how it can really help out people.
Fantastic. Thanks, Joe. And thanks again for coming on the show.
Thank you, Dr. Larry. Appreciate it.
Joe knows. He's extracted the main points of CBD versus THC, and understanding the difference between these terms is crucial for all of us to navigate this CBD market. Hemp-derived CBD, like the products offered on Sterling Professional's website, are federally legal under the 2018 Farm Bill, provided that it adheres to strict THC content standards, meaning it's got to be 0.3%, barely a trace. And remember, the terms hemp, cannabis, and marijuana are often used interchangeably, but they're distinctly different. So again, even for me, when all this started coming into the market years ago, I heard CBD, my brain automatically went to get high. That's what I thought it was all for. I didn't bother deducing it quickly at that point in time, but circling back around and doing a show like this is the whole point, is to deduce it, separate it, and get the terms correct. And now that I'm kind of eyes wide open on this, I noticed too that these terms are used interchangeably, which is exactly the nail on the head that Joe wanted to hit. So cannabis refers to the entire plant, which includes multiple species and varieties. Cannabis is the umbrella term that encompasses both hemp and marijuana. Hemp a variety of cannabis plant. Hemp is cultivated primarily for industrial purposes, such as textiles, paper, and wellness products. I'm actually reading this from Sterling Professional's website. And by legal definition, hemp contains less than 0.3% THC, making it non-intoxicating and suitable for CBD extraction. So again, the properties of CBD are geared towards anti-inflammatory, muscle aches, etc., minus not having the psychoactive effect. Marijuana, another variety of cannabis, is cultivated for its psychoactive properties due to its high THC content. So the difference, two major types of cannabinoids, CBD and THC. So when I say CBD now, do you automatically go, oh, I hope that doesn't make me goofy? You shouldn't know. CBD is non-psychoactive. THC is psychoactive. So you've got to make sure that if you don't want the other property, you just want the anti-inflammatory effect, that you're picking the products that has that in there. So because CBD helps regulate pain, inflammation, and muscle recovery, making it sought-after tools for people who are needing topical agents like that. I like the topical agents. Menthol gel is one of the things that Sterling Professional has, and offers the soothing ingredients of menthol, including, I think it's 25 milligrams of CBD only. And so you just get that for your joints and your muscles, etc. And there was more. However, if you missed the entire show and want to be more in the know, then log on to my website, drlarryradio.com. Hit the subscribe button, follow the links, and listen to that show. It's been uploaded now, which you can listen to at your leisure as a podcast. And here is the final point. If you don't want to get high from just THC, remember to buy a product only with CBD. Now, beyond that, in addition to the interview part 2, last week we learned a simple self-test for tendonitis of the thumb. It was another Dr. Larry cool tool, and you can call my office for a freebie reminder just in case you're in need of a retip or a tip up. And so that was last week. Yeah. Now today, we'll forget that monologue for a moment and keep remembering those mandatory communication skills all doctors must have, which are inquisitive listening and staying positive. Again, it often means the difference between sick and well. Also, it's another month of the year, so let's keep our biceps in gear. So in our tip and trick segment today, we're going to learn a simple self-test for a Popeye arm. And of course, you, Rito Dorito, are calling it out right from the broadcast booth while we crank up the tunes and I hit the center stage for the demo. However, before all that, in order to have good health, you don't need a lot of wealth. So let's flex our forebrain and put some knowledge to the game, because today we're going to talk about, hit it, Pearl.
Dr. Larry brings you another segment of Did You Know?
Oh, snap. What was that? Did something just break or crack? It sounded like a buckshot hitting your shoulder, knee, hip, or back. But really, the sound is something more profound. Why your muscle tendons could be prone to snap. Muscle tendon rip and tears when we get back from the break. Stay tuned. You're listening to the Dr. Larry Radio Show.
Dr. Larry will be back in a moment.
An audiologist has extensive training preventing, diagnosing, and treating hearing and balance disorders. Research has shown people tend to underestimate the degree of their hearing loss. Rather than just selling hearing aids and fitting them, we try to look at the person and where he is as far as counseling and guidance on his hearing journey.
There's never been a better time to start hearing what you've been missing, and Lori LaFleur at Tri-County Communications will help you every step of the way on your journey to better hearing. Visit her office at 609 Central Avenue in Florence, Wisconsin. Give her a call at 715-528-4350 or find help online at TriCountyAudiology.com.
Does your financial advisor take the time to really listen to you? Is your financial strategy personalized to you and your family? Will your financial advisor be there as your life and financial situations change? When you work with Ryan O'Grady, your Crystal Falls Edward Jones financial advisor, he focuses on what's important to you. You'll work together and use an established process to create a personalized financial strategy, backed by the advice, tools, and resources to help you reach your goals. And you can partner long-term to help your strategy stay on track. Contact Ryan today at 906-875-3833. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
This is Julia from Iron River, and you're listening to Dr. Larry Radio.
I got injured in a co-ed soccer league. They immediately told me that I'm going to have to speak with an orthopedic surgeon. My first thought was OSMS. I knew they worked with athletes in the past, and I knew that they had really good orthopedic surgeons. The team at OSMS really were all on board with getting me back to what my life was. My goals were their goals. I wanted to get back to my best, and they wanted the same thing for me. It's amazing that I can still do what I did before. I'm back thanks to OSMS.
I would never recommend buying a home without having the water tested first. It's cool, it's clear, it looks clean. Oh, it tastes good. Well, what's really in it? And we just recommend that you check it out. I'm Jennifer Toivonen. I'm a co-lab director at Whitewater Associates of AMISA. Coliform bacteria, lead, arsenic, nitrates, nitrites. You want to be sure that water is safe. I would recommend giving us a call. That way we can tailor the kit that we send to you for what you need. 906-822-7889. Give us a call.
Break's over. Time to get cracking once again with Dr. Larry.
Oh, snap. What was that? 5 times. In 4 weeks, I had patients tell me just that. In one case, a retired lady was reaching for a coffee cup, and oh snap, just like that, her butt muscle tore, but there's more. In another case, a retired man was getting out of his tractor, and oh snap, just like that. His knee tendon tore, but there's more. In another case, a retired man was reaching and pulling something small, and oh snap, just like that. His bicep tendon tore, but there's more, and 3 score more. Tendons, tears, and snaps. What and why is that? 5 times. 5 different areas of the bodies, just in a month. Patients tore muscles and tendons. Pourquoi? But why? Well, what I'm going to do for you is do a deep dive first into an AI/internet search on this, okay? And the reason why I did it like this, because typically a lot of us go right to the internet, or now maybe artificial intelligence, to get answers. So what I want to do is read the answer like you would get if you said, okay, why is this tendon feel this way? I just tore my tendon. What are the key reasons? So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through it in a little different way. I'm going to give you some enhanced comprehension coming from the human side of things, because once that foundation is laid for what you get off the internet or AI, it gets you to a point, but it doesn't get you all the way there. So that's what I want to do. I want to bring it home for you so you understand, because I'll tell you, when a tendon does snap, no matter where it's at in the body, it is a major inconvenience. It's not always surgically fixed or corrected, and so it can be a real problem. On top of it, just pain and nuisance, and then it can be limiting either short-term or long-term, or even for a lifetime. So let's go over what happens from internet/artificial intelligence. Key reasons for tendon tears. Acute overload. A sudden high force load, like lifting a heavy or even a small object, sprinting or rapidly twisting, stretches the tendon beyond its capacity. Tendons are made of roughly 70% type 1 collagen and have a limited elasticity, right around 4 to 5%. Forces exceeding 1,000 to 2,000 pounds in large tendons cause micro tears or complete ruptures. So an example, sudden jerk, lifting something, reefing on something. I'll get to reefing in a little bit. Repetitive microtrauma. So this would be repeated submaximal loading causes cumulative microdamage to collagen fibers, leading to tendinopathy, which is degenerated tissue, and partial tears. This reduces tensile strength, making tears more likely under normal load. So one of the questions, too, that people go, well, how come how did this happen? I mean, I've been doing this my whole life. It's nothing out of unusual, unordinary. It's exactly this reason right here. Repetitive micro trauma. Degenerative changes, by the way, that's not a pitch to be sedentary, do nothing. You know that, right? That's just basically, it's one of these things that happens. Again, we're going to get all this crystallized and tied together for you. Degenerative changes is the aging or chronic overuse, reducing the collagen turnover and blood supply, causing tendon brittleness. So the couple of things that you should start picking up on right now that I've repeated twice through this just basic term search or phrase search is the fact that collagen is important and blood supply or circulation is important. So maintaining collagen, maintaining blood supply to your tissues, and that includes your arms, your legs, maintaining proper circulation, blood supply is critical when it comes to preventing your tendons from snapping. The fourth one, which is a gotcha on this one, is poor biomechanics, bad lifting. Joint misalignment, it's kind of a subtle pitch for chiropractors, I guess there, or improper movement patterns, unevenly stressed tendons, overloading specific fibers. For instance, poor posture during lifting increases strain on spine or shoulder tendons or different joints like knees or hips. Inadequate recovery, insufficient rest between high load activities prevents collagen repair, and this accumulates micro tears and leads to chronic inflammation. So if you've gone to the doctor and let's say they run a test and you've got high C-reactive protein, it's basically an inflammation marker. That is one of the things that they are talking about here from the internet search, is you just have a higher rate of inflammation. So let's circle around a little bit on this one. An anti-inflammatory diet can help. And this is how things start to layer together. Things start to add up when we make context or comprehension of all this to prevent tendon snaps. Other external factors, corticosteroids, prolonged use weakens collagen and reduces the tendon strength. Dehydration and nutrition, low hydration, not D, low hydration, or deficiencies in collagen-building nutrients like protein impair tendon integrity. So if you got a high-carb diet and you're not getting much protein and you're slightly to low hydration and you're on a couple of medications, including maybe a steroid, and all of a sudden, voila, your tendon snaps. Typically, by the way, there's not usually a warning shot. It's just it. You get nailed. Here are some scientific mechanisms that can cause, or to hear some facts and stats as far as why tendons tear. Collagen failure keeps coming back. Collagen fibers resist tensile forces but fail with excessive strain. The inflammatory cascade that we just talked about, and fatigue failures. Cyclical loading causes micro tears, reducing load-bearing capacity. So if you overload the tendon rapidly, if you overload the tendon quickly and you're low on collagen, low on circulation, low, you're going to snap a tendon with a higher probability. Key takeaways from this. Remember, I'm still just reading to you. Tendons tear from acute overload, repetitive microtrauma, degeneration, worsen by poor biomechanics, inadequate recovery, external factors like corticosteroids, and preventions can include sufficient rest, addressing degeneration, physical therapy, and nutrition. Now, let me ask another question to artificial intelligence source. The same question: why do muscle tendons tear? And so then I asked a different source. One of them was one of the other big ones, Grok, and the other one was ChatGPT. And then that pulled in stuff from the internet. So it kind of goes through the same scenario: age-related degeneration, repetitive motion, micro tears. So the information pretty much overlaps fairly well in a ditto format. Poor biomechanics, pre-existing issues, corticosteroids, some diseases like diabetes can leave you. Again, that goes back to circulation. Rheumatoid arthritis, poor nutrition, collagen, vitamin C, protein. So we have all that as far as a risk factor. Oh, let me add the last one, and this one's a great one. If you're over 40. high probability or higher probability of tearing a tendon. Oh, great. Can't do much about age. Can't do much about that, but we can do certain things to stack the deck in our favor. So again, rebulleted from just the second one. If you have prior tendon injury, poor flexibility, sudden increase in activity, poor technique in lifting, you are excessive in athletics, inadequate warm-up. snap just like that. Now, that sounds like we've got some answers. It kind of makes us feel good. It kind of get a little warm and cozy when we do an internet search or we do an AI search, and we think we've got it. And so we close our laptop, shut down the computer, turn off the smart device, iPhone. And back in the day, remember we went to the library to do all this searching. Now we can just do it, of course, from our living room or wherever we're at. And we think, okay, I better lift better. Let me go get an extra glass of water, bottled water. Let me circulation. How do I improve my circulation? Maybe ponder that one for a little bit. And so what you're doing is you're just going through this checkbox list, trying to self-assess and go, okay, I just heard Dr. Larry go through this. I maybe did this internet search on your own or this IA search on your own, and now what? So you leave. You go off into your life. And based on what you just heard, you probably think, I've got it. What points did you hear from what you just heard that you go, I'm going to change this? So let's say the show's finished. You go look at your yard, and you think, I got to cut my grass. It's going to rain tomorrow. Then, of course, I wanted to get the lawn looking really good. You know what you got to do. It's weed eater time. And so you go to the garage. It's 15, 20, 30 minutes, hour after the show. Maybe it's tomorrow even. You get your weed whacker. You push the primer a few times. Engage the choke. Give one good pull and snap. What was that? It wasn't the rope. And you feel this surge of pain in your neck, some numbness down your shoulder and arm, and your chest and your upper back on the same arm that you pulled the weed eater to get it to start. What snapped was your bicep. And you go, oh man, I just heard the show. I thought I had it all squared in that you know how to not snap a tendon, because maybe you were rehearsing some of the information I pulled from the internet or from AI in your head, or maybe you went and did your own independent research. Maybe you remembered to eat a little more protein that day. Maybe you took a quick collagen supplement, and better slam some water before you cut the lawn and weed eat. And you had all of it in your head, and snap, it still happened. So here's why. Hearing something, thinking about it, and maybe applying some of the concepts seems to make sense as it does. But what I know and what you know is that we all, humans, are still a bit too stubborn. We still want to do things the way we always do them, and we want to do them expecting our tendons and muscles to be able to and get away with it, to be able to do what they always did until something snaps. Now, my job as your doctor of muscles is to help you beyond some of this internet advice. I'm talking to you now. I'm giving you the counsel advice. I'm trying to enhance what you just read because, I know how it is. With all the things that kind of hit throughout a day, who knows what's going to hit you later on in the day between work, family, kids, phone calls, whatever it is. And this is not going to be on your mind much. The shelf life of what I'm talking about is going to go down. It's going to start going from, top 3 after you heard it to top 10 to it won't even be the top 100 list. I'll be like a one-hit wonder on the show when it comes to tendon snapping. So I'm slowing it down for you. So what I want to do for you is go beyond this and to help you reduce some of your risks of ripping and tearing and shredding and snapping some of your tendons. Biceps are a big one. Do you know what the answer and solution is if you snap a bicep tendon, what they do for it? I can tell you, by and large, for the most part, they don't do anything. They don't reattach them much anymore. And there's some famous people like John Elway. He was snapped his tendon, quarterback from the Denver Broncos, and they had all the best orthopedic surgeons, and they were trying to figure out what to do. Do we reattach this thing? No, yes, no. And from that story, they decided, you know what, let's just leave the tendon as it is, because it's probably just going to snap again. And I will tell you that by and large, that's mostly the theme. When it comes to a bicep tendon, typically if they're in there doing a shoulder surgery and it's frayed, they might stitch it up again. But anyway, bottom line is you typically are down one bicep tendon on the side that it snapped. So that's your hose there. I know a patient that snapped two thigh muscles, front thigh muscles, not included in the list I just gave. She was walking in her house. It was snow time, or winter time outside. She had a little snow on the bottom of her shoes, and went inside with the shoes on, hardwood floor. Boom! All of a sudden, she fell, and she went right to the floor. Leg went one way, the other leg went another way. Snapped two tendons right there. No reattachment done. Nope. And for 3 to 6 months, it took a while for those tendons to heal up. That's on a leg. That's power comes from a leg, and now you're down two front tendons. Same thing with one of the patients in right now. I've got her rehabilitating the back of her leg, right underneath the butt muscle, right around there, leaning forward, and she said it sounded like she got shot in the back of the hip, and that's how loud it is. And that was the only warning sign. Now, hobbling along, now we're trying to hopefully revive some of the muscle, if there's enough left there, and it's getting there. On the back of her leg there. So now she's down a tendon, a very important one. Going up and down steps was difficult, and she lives on her own. So, again, keep layering all this stuff. The guy with the knee, he was just getting out of his tractor. Snap. So, these tendons will and could snap. And what I'm going to do for you when we get back from the break is I'm going to go through a key concept to help you overall not snap your tendons. We'll do that when we get back from the break. Stay tuned. You're listening to the Dr. Larry Radio Show.
We'll be right back with Dr. Larry.
An audiologist has extensive training preventing, diagnosing, and treating hearing and balance disorders. Research has shown people tend to underestimate the degree of their hearing loss. Rather than just selling hearing aids and fitting them, we try to look at the person and where he is as far as counseling and guidance on his hearing journey.
There's never been a better time to start hearing what you've been missing, and Lori LaFleur at Tri-County Communications will help you every step of the way on your journey to better hearing. Visit her office at 609 Central Avenue in Florence, Wisconsin. Give her a call at 715-528-4350 or find help online at TriCountyAudiology.com.
This Northwest Weather Report is brought to you by Peak Metal Roofing. Top quality solutions that are durable, stylish, and built to withstand the UP's toughest elements. Upgrade with the best. Call 906-370-0734 or visit peakmetalroofing.com. Peak Metal Roofing, where strength meets style.
Here's your Iron River and surrounding area forecast. Slight chance of thunderstorms this afternoon. Otherwise, sunshine mixed with clouds at times. High temperatures reach up to 84. Winds out of the southwest 5 to 10 miles per hour. Partly cloudy skies again. Tonight, slight chance for storms. Lows dip down to about 62. From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki on WIKB. Right now, 82.
This is Lois from Crystal Falls, and you're listening to Dr. Larry Radio.
At West Dunham Furnishings, downtown Iron River, we have 2 showrooms full of furniture for every room in your home. Need carpet? We have that too. We're open Monday through Saturday and can be found online or by calling 265-1401.
We're back with Dr. Larry.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Kata. Mr. Kata. You don't even know what that show is, Reed. Way back in the day. If you're 45 years old or older, you know what I'm talking about. Welcome back, Kata. John Travolta. You know who he is, right? Yeah. All right. Oh, snap. How to decrease the chances of your tendon tears and retracts. Let's roll back a bit to the top of the show. Risk factors. Here's the summary. Greater than 40 years old. Can't do much about that. We're all aging. Prior tendon injury. Relevant, but let's focus on these following ones. Poor flexibility, sudden increase in activity, poor technique in lifting or athletics, inadequate warm-up. And I'm going to add pace yourself versus push yourself. Okay, so poor flexibility, the first patient, torn butt muscle, torn hamstring. She had some spinal surgery. She readily admits very poor flexibility, self-admittedly mostly sedentary, reaching for some object, and she said, like I told you before the break, she thought somebody shot her in the hip. That's how loud it sounds, by the way. Or a firecracker, some of the other analogies I use. These are larger tendons, are really startling when they go. Now, when I checked out her injury on the back side of her hip, there was something missing. One portion of the tendon in the back of her hip and leg. And the big question I get off the bat is will I need surgery to fix this? And it does depend on the area, but for the most part, surgery is usually done in shoulders, Achilles tendon, maybe an elbow tendon. But when it comes to hamstrings or glutes or quadriceps muscles, it's not very common to have those surgically corrected. So in this case, that was the case, no surgery. So the meat of the muscle and what happens and what does it feel like, it becomes very mushy. It's soft, and sometimes you feel a ball, and there's usually a dip or a hole in the area. So again, self-assessment here and checking if you want to know, she had no clue what happened. She was just as startled, just still startled by the sound and limping like crazy, knew something happened, but didn't know exactly what it was. So it's like a mush ball that you feel there. Poor flexibility is stiff on top of stiff on top of stiff, rigid like a robot. Now, arthritis is going to stiffen you up. I know that, and you know that. Time, as we get older, is going to stiffen us up. Even some of the most flexible people. My wife and I periodically will do yoga throughout a year. We'll do different types of yoga. Big difference in doing yoga at 51 versus 27, 31, 40 years old. And actually one of the online people that we've done the yoga with, and we just focus on the stretching part of it, not the other stuff. He even said himself, he's been doing yoga for 40 years, maybe himself. He's older than us. And noticed that just areas start to stiffen up. But you don't give into it. You just got to not do much about it. And by the way, this isn't the main point. I'm just kind of going over this stuff. So if you know you are stiff on top of stiff and you are rigid, then there's some solutions for that too without having to do yoga or anything like that can help you out. And I've interviewed patients of mine who are elderly who move well, still maybe not, as flexible as they would like, but they move well. And I asked them, what do you do? And I'm going to go over that in just a second. Remember, another thing that can happen is the sudden increase in activity, reaching down for something else, and poor technique can be combined. So you're living life, and let's say you got a pickup truck, and you get down off your pickup truck, and you just like to kind of jump down off the pickup truck, and because you've done it for 30 years. Well, at 59 years old, and you jump down on that left knee, the tendon's going to snap at some point. So these little pace yourself versus push yourself things are some of the little bubbles above your head you've got to keep in mind so these things don't happen. And as it goes, and I always thought I would avoid this, but now here I am, as I'm getting older with my patients, and some of you are going to laugh and be like, 51's not old. Reed at 20 is like, yeah, he's getting up there. What the deal is even stooping and squatting now while I'm working on patients to lean forward, I've got a bad left knee, and I know it's getting worse. I'd rather not snap the tendon. I'd rather prolong the knee. So just a little bit slower, but still calculated, picking things up. That's what you have to do. You can't just reach for things like you used to, and you have to recognize that stuff. So pacing yourself on your activities of daily living is really the term I'm going to have you bubble over your head. And this came about in a case that I just had in with a lady who is in very good shape, close to 80 years old, if not a little bit older, and likes to walk. And her primary care told her to push herself because she was having some issues with being able to walk up a hill. And I said, no. You're not going to push yourself. You're going to pace yourself. I'd rather get up the hill than not. And I'd rather have you not push yourself and blow a tendon or have some other issue and just pace yourself. And that's kind of the whole point. You don't have to. You're not in a competition. You're not going to get a little ribbon or award from the county fair because you picked up the pencil off the floor faster. Or you, on that third reef, when you were yanking on getting the weed eater started, you're not going to get medals and awards for that and pats on the back if you really got it. So pace yourself when it comes to this stuff. Poor technique and inadequate warm-up. Let me qualify this. Getting the juices flowing and the glue warmed up in the body. And let's take the page out of the book from some of my elderly patients who have really good techniques and are flexible more than they typically would be if they didn't by what they do. Now, what they like to do is a 5 to 15 minute daily, every single day. Some of them do it right in bed before they get out of bed. I remember one lady lived into her late 80s, maybe early even 90s as well. And she said, Dr. Larry, before I get out of bed, she rolls her shoulders. She starts moving her hips in circular fashion and on and on and on. So that's what some of the folks do that apply this stuff well. And what that does, it accomplishes a couple of things. It removes some of the stiffness. It gets some of the circulation going for your day. And it gets some of the collagen warmed up that you have left over, no matter what age. And that's what some of the people do. Now, let me back this up a little bit, too. If you're not elderly, exclude them out of the equation, and you're middle-aged, and you're starting to notice certain aches and pains as it goes, and you're noticing flexibility starting to decrease, it's not that you got to get on the floor, do a 45-minute stretch routine, but you've got to earmark this as you know that your body is starting to go through this change. And so, therefore, when it comes to doing certain things, you've got to pace yourself as it relates to normal activities of daily living. Now, the next patient had the tendon snap. He knew it. He was working on his land, felt some soreness in his knee, and he pushed it. Well, again, he thought, I got shot in the knee. Something just happened. What just got me? He had a prior soreness in the knee. He had some poor flexibility, and then the sudden increase in activity happened out of the tractor. Bingo, bang, the tendon snapped. And thankfully in this case, this was a quick recovery. But rolling back the clock when I used getting out of your truck or your tractor or your car, anything like that, when it comes to what we heard from the AI search, sudden increase or quick movements, you can just start to take your pencil out or your indelible marker and just draw a hard line through quick and put in calculated or pace yourself when it comes to middle age plus. There's no sense in moving quick because that's what leads to injury. Jumping off a tractor, jumping back into a tractor. There's nothing wrong with climbing into your tractor and climbing out of it, etc. The bicep tendon snap. This is a tough one because bicep tendons do tend to get weak over time. This poor fella, he reached for something and he reefed it. He grabbed it and went to yank it back. Now, if there's one term in the UP when I'm dealing with cases and pain that male or female absolutely universally love to use, it's reef. Doc, I reefed on it. Let me define what reefing is, in case you didn't know. It's the use of excessive force, especially when hitting, pulling, or twisting something. Now, this is a quintessential activity. And maybe, perhaps, and I could be totally one vision myopic on this one, this might be just to the UP itself. I reefed on something. I lived in Georgia when I was in chiropractic school. When we were in clinic, I don't remember one patient saying they reefed on something to get something going. It was a totally different term. So this is a UP style movement term. And you've got to be careful when you're used to reefing on something to get something to dislodge, to get something to crank. And in this guy's case, he paid the price. Bang, snap. Didn't know what happened. He just said that sharp numbness in his chest, up to his neck. Oh, it's just painful and miserable. And then I examine him. So you snapped your bicep right off. It's gone. And so he kind of sunk his head down. Okay, all right, thanks for letting me know and what can be done. So we went through the whole thing. So keep the reefing down to a minimum if possible. Middle age plus. Let's just go with that. Shoulder snaps, same thing can start to happen. You've got to watch out when it comes to your shoulder when you're going to reef something. So pace yourself versus push yourself. And yes, knees will make noise. Yes, joints will make noise. That's not snapping I'm talking about. I'm talking the tendon snap. So when I said this too while I was reading this out, I want to re-highlight this because I put this in boldface to remind you of the collagen. Remember, collagen, the tendons are made up of 70% collagen. So protein, collagen, these are all very important things. And let's face it, I'm just gonna guess. Most of us up here are meat eaters. Can I say that? I don't really run into a few vegans. We're all meat eaters up here. Well, you can't get a better source of collagen than you do from bone broth. It can be deer. It can be beef. Chicken, get a whole chicken. I know people that butcher chickens. Can't get a better bone broth than that. Make that bone broth. And you can sip on it after you put your little herbs and things like that. My wife makes some of the best broth. It almost makes your mouth water. Broth. I didn't know broth could be that good. And it's a big winter thing we do. So let's say don't be too hard on yourself. It's hot. Who wants to boil broth? One lady told me a couple weeks ago she likes to make her broth in a pressure cooker. We don't have a pressure cooker, but she said she gets her broth done in 2 hours. If you got a pressure cooker, maybe you could do your broth in that. But look that up. And if you want my rice recipe, here I'll tease you a little bit with this one. You can log on to drlarryradio.com or WIKB.com. Let's use that one, WIKB.com. Click the Ask Dr. Larry, send me it, and I will get you my wife's bone broth recipe. And right now, if she's listening, which she probably is, she's like, I don't know, I just throw stuff in. Well, babe, you're going to have to get a recipe together. And so just send me a little note on WIKB.com, Ask Dr. Larry, and fill out the little form there, and I'll get you her bone broth. Delicious, awesome homemade. What she puts in there, some of the herbs. She might not be able to give you actually quantities, but can't get a better source of collagen for that from that bone broth. It's great. Remember too how many repetitions and degenerative changes you have going on. Keeping all these things into context. Okay, so pace yourself. Now I drew that discussion way out. I took really maybe a 10-minute deal and I stretched it 3 times as long as I need to. I stretched the tendon on the conversation. Purely so you could retain this a little bit better, so you would remember it a little bit better. And my whole purpose is not to come on here and just read things to you. It's to talk to you as well, to give you some advice. I'm dealing with bone, joint, and muscle problems all day long, nerve problems all day long, all these years, 5,000 to 6,000 cases a year. I'm listening to people. This is one of those problems that kind of tends to creep up, and you can do things about it. Pace yourself. Get your collagen in. Make sure you get your protein in, and keep yourself warmed up. And you can do it right in the morning. Okay, upcoming announcements and our tip and trick of the week after the break. This is the Dr. Larry Radio Show.
Dr. Larry will be back in a moment.
An audiologist has extensive training preventing, diagnosing, and treating hearing and balance disorders. Research has shown people tend to underestimate the degree of their hearing loss. Rather than just selling hearing aids and fitting them, we try to look at the person and where he is as far as counseling and guidance on his hearing journey.
There's never been a better time to start hearing what you've been missing, and Lori LaFleur at Tri-County Communications will help you every step of the way on your journey to better hearing. Visit her office at 609 Central Avenue in Florence, Wisconsin. Give her a call at 715-528-4350 or find help online at tricountyaudiology.com.
Flow aluminum dock systems are made to bring time at the lake to a whole new level. You can create any layout you want, accessorize it for comfort and fun. They are strong, stable, safe, and they add a beautiful touch to your shoreline that will last indefinitely. Maybe it's time to join the thousands of other families that have turned their dock into a shoreline paradise. Maybe it's time for a Flow from Jensen Akins of Conover or Three Lakes Docks and Lifts.
This is Mason from Iron River, and you're listening to Dr. Larry Radio.
What's cooking near you? Head to one of these fine local establishments for your next bite or beverage. The Westwood Supper Club and Bear Cave Bar is now open. 1640 US 2 west of Crystal Falls. Bar and Lounge opens at 11 Thursday through Sunday. Dining room is open 4 to 10 Thursday through Saturday and 11 to 6 on Sunday. Call Westwood 874-9663.
Buzz and Schmooze Mid-City Bar in Caspian opens 11 a.m. 7 days a week. Sandwiches, burgers, deep fried appetizers, shrimp and fish served 7 days a week. Call 265-9277 for carryout.
The Habit Bar and Grill, Highway A in Nelma, Wisconsin, and on the ATV Trail, offering premium gas, opens 10 a.m. 7 days a week. Daily specials. Call 715-545-2646.
Kukal Eyes Bar in Channing's open at 11 a.m. with happy hour 3 to 6, 7 days a week. Weekends, $5 loaded Bloody Marys and mimosas. Always serving Summer Place Pizza. Voted #1 bar in Channing. Check out Kukal Eyes on Facebook for specials, live music, karaoke, and events.
The Alpha Michigan Brewing Company on the Circle in Alpha opens at 3 Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and noon on Friday, Saturday, and Sundays. Call 920-358-9551. Go to alphamibeer.com or find them on Facebook for tap menu and events.
The Horseshoe Bar downtown Amasa opens at noon 7 days a week. Burgers, sandwiches, nachos, crazy bread, specialty homemade pizzas, and deep fryer snacks too. It always tastes better at the Horseshoe Bar downtown Amasa.
The Miners 9 in Iron River is hiring kitchen staff. Become a part of a growing team in a fun work environment with competitive pay and a fresh and evolving food menu. Apply online at miners9.com under the Careers tab. The Local Eats List from WIKB WFER.
Rachel, time to get cracking once again with Dr. Larry.
Okay, a couple of things before we wrap up the show and get to the weekly tip and trick. Hey, I'm still live on the air. Some of you already just requested wife's bone broth. You want her recipe. I'm telling you, I've got a coffee cup right now. Literally, we sip this stuff. It's like got full body. It's delicious. The herbs she used, the things she puts in there, you just, no kidding, by taste alone and soothing this, you're like, this is good for me. I know this is good for me. And then even how she does it too, I'll give you her method. But the taste is phenomenal with all the things that she adds into it. So WIKB.com, ask Dr. Larry, come on, let's do this. I love it. Just responded back to one of the people that sent it in, and my wife's on the hook to get this stuff out to you. And I want you to have it. And yeah, you could Google it, but you know how it is. You know how it is. It's these wives with their recipes that they take, and as my wife says, I just tweak things. I tweak things. It's that micro tweaking on recipes that just nails it. So WIKB.com, ask Dr. Larry, ask for my wife's bone broth recipe. I'll get that out to you, probably before the end of the day today. Okay. Have you heard of the medication amiodarone? Well, it's a heart medication with serious potential side effects, and if it is prescribed by your physician, you need to make sure that you're tolerating that medication. And if not, there could be serious consequences. At some point, I'm going to be interviewing a local lady whose husband was on the medication, also a patient of mine, and you'll find out what happened to him and his lungs from amiodarone. The CEO of Foot Levelers, one of the longest running and large orthotic companies for your feet, Custom, and they also make custom pills for your head, is going to be on the show. The interview is actually going to happen tomorrow, and then what I do is kind of have Reed do some production on it, and then we create a show out of it. Hopefully they'll have that up and running in the next week or two. So the CEO of Foot Levelers, you're going to want to stay tuned to WIKB. You want to hear these shows as I do them live. And we're going to go over custom orthotics. Her grandpa was the one that had the first patent on custom, what do we call it? The cervical pillows, where it's got that little wedge in there. He was the first one that did that. So anyway, it's going to be a great interview. We're going to go over custom orthotics and kind of drill down if you should need an orthotic from Foot Levelers. And we're going to hear right from the CEO. Queen City Running. Going to get them earmarked to come on the show at some point in time. By the way, FYI, they just opened up in Iron Mountain, and tell them that I sent you. Hey, I heard on Dr. Larry on his show that you guys are open, and they do that 7-step foot analysis for you, and they will fit you with the right shoe. Just had a patient go. He used to wear cowboy boots. And there's nothing wrong with cowboy boots, but cowboy boots for walking, you want to walk 4 or 5 miles a day? Maybe there's some great cowboy boots, but I said, hey, why don't you go to Queen City Running, get some shoes? And so he did, and I mentioned that I sent them, and they gave him a little extra discount on top of that. He was super happy. He's on his New Balance now, and he goes, these things are like clouds on my feet. I should have done this sooner. So go to Queen City Running in Iron Mountain now and get fitted for some walking shoes. Summer is still alive. We're only on August 7th. There's lots of warm days. I want to give a shout out to my daughter Keaton for helping me out with some of the design stuff, and she's doing stuff, I think, for the Iron County Fair. She's got something that she's doing coming up for maybe next year's fair, some type of art thing for the cover, I think is what she's working on. Reed, he's the Mix-It guy here, Quietest Man Radio, taking care of all the board stuff for us, so the show comes out and commercials come out crystal clear. And as you heard me mention on WIKB.com, click the Ask Dr. Larry. And if you want to ask me any other healthcare question, by all means, and maybe what I'll do too, even during the show, if you want to email me some questions, we don't have the live call thing going yet, but maybe we'll get that going for a segment down the road. So that's what's going on. And finally, my last little announcement, drlarryradio.com. There are 3 tabs and now a 4th tab to click. If you wanted to test out and try pure CBD, non-THC products for pain, then there's a link for that on my website, so you can order that. It's 100% order online, and if you want to try Sterling Professional's CBD product, I'll probably have that link up for a little while longer, and just so you can try it out. And I even tested it out myself, too, on my sore thumb. Just like everything, it helped ease the inflammation and pain. I would say better than BioFreeze. Still was temporary, no problem there. Just reapply it, and overall, I did my own little test on just my tendon on my thumb, and it worked. Straight CBD without THC. Also, Reed, it's time. You the man for the weekly tip and trick. You head up to the broadcast booth. I just tied this tip and trick into the whole show about tendons. We're going to learn a simple self-test for a Popeye arm.
All right, folks, Dr. Larry is currently sitting in his chair, and he's doing some bicep curls, invisible bicep curls. What are you curling there, 30s or look pretty heavy?
30s are warm-up. No, I overload it. I do quick rapids. So no, I'm kidding. Those are 20s now. By the way, I'm glad you said that. I used to do a lot of bicep curls back in the day. Reed was cleaning up the basement, and they were digging through old pictures. Of course, there's some cheesy ones in there from back in the day. And did some bicep curls, but now I don't go past 20 pounds on dumbbells. Don't want to snap a tendon. If you look down, if you hear a pain, neck pain, shoulder pain, you look down, you do a bicep curl just without weight, and you just see this ball sitting there that looks different than the other arm. It's the Popeye arm. And unfortunately, it's not because you grew it from all the repetitions you were doing. It's the bicep snapped. So that's one test that you can do to check and see if you have a bicep. Still kind of elusive for people. They still don't know exactly if they snapped it or not, but it's pretty definitive when you see it. Okay, folks, remember, you can listen to me live right here every week to learn how to achieve a better back and better health, or if you're having a pain or problem, I'm here to help. My number at the office is 906-875-3215. Have a good day, boy on the board, and I'll see you next week, everybody.
WIKB, Iron River, Crystal Falls, Iron Mountain, Kingsford.